The network marketing industry has changed dramatically in the last decade. With the advent of social media, digital marketing, the rise of the influencer, and all the tech platforms that promise something extraordinary, how do you separate the helpful from the hype? Welcome to Beyond the Network Marketing Dream, where authenticity and relationships, simplicity and duplication are at the core of everything we focus on. The fundamentals of building still work. Join us as we go beyond the network marketing dream.
Great to be with everybody today. This is Patrick Shaw. I'm with Dominick Izzo. Dominick, it is great to have you on the show and excited to hear about some of the background and for everybody to hear your perspective on the industry, which I already know is totally on point, but we'll have fun discussing it.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate you having me today. Thank you.
So share your background a little bit. Let's give everybody the 1 minute on Dominick and how you got to this place and time in the networking space.
So I have so many things going on. I'm a retired police officer, a former gym owner. I'm a radio show host, podcaster as well too, published author, former politician.
Ouch.
Brief stint in, out here in Chicago, places as well too. Brief stint in real estate. And then I've been involved with the network marketing industry for the last 10 years. I know I'm doing something else. Oh, I have a cigar brand. I'm not married. I never got married. I don't have kids. So I have to keep my days obsessively full.
Oh my gosh.
So it's like, there's so many things that I have going on, but the 360-degree view of me is I'm me, right? Years ago, when I started on social media, I had a brand and it was Officer Dominick Izzo. And back then, this was probably 2015, the social media persona started to grow. You had Officer Daniels, Mike the Cop, myself, and we had these big social media followings. But I also did some other stuff out there. I was very passionate about a martial art that I teach, and I had a big following with that. And I was passionate with my faith and all this other stuff. And I got caught up in the niche of the officer defined me. Right. That my title defined me. And the problem I had was whenever I wanted to introduce a different part of myself, you'd get my audience would go, we're not here for that. We don't want to hear about your faith. We don't want to hear it's all because more about law enforcement stuff. So currently over the last 2 years, I'm focusing on me. I'm the brand, end of story. And I don't really niche down in a lot of areas, especially my social media content. You'll find if there's something I'm passionate about it, I talk about it. And I typically stick to the areas of the network marketing industry, politics, if you will, my faith, fitness and martial arts. And then I pepper that in with inappropriate humor here and there. That's me.
So since you're building, is that your model for building as a leader? Is that you've got this brand, you're building an audience, you keep it somewhat generic, you're not niching down, but then through that, it allows you to build a business?
I have to. For me, I have to. Because specifically, I don't know who I'm going to attract, right? Specifically for the industry, if one of the streams of income that I focus on the most for is network marketing. Like I made a public declaration that within the next 20 years, I'm going to be the single greatest known network marketer, wealth creator in history, more than Dexter Yeager. So to put that down as a goal, I got to burn my boats and focus on that. Well, then how do I attract people? Because if I go up and I niche down on network marketing, I'm gonna lose a lot of other people that would have probably wanted me somewhere else, right? Something that happened a couple of years ago is I had a person who said, "Dude, you're not growing for a reason. You're always putting your political views out there." And I was kind of very careful about my political views. The problem is when you tell me no on something, I have to double and triple down. So I said, "Screw this," and I tripled down on my political views. And my building of the business grew even more because people knew exactly where I stood. Even if it was, all right, I don't agree with you politically, but I agree with what you're teaching here. So let's do business. We got our emotional views out of the way. So the second I saw that happen, I went, oh, I'm done. I'm not going to niche down on anything. I'm going to put me out there because even if you don't like who I am personally, you don't agree with my faith, you don't agree with this, but you see that I have a skill set in X, Y, and Z, it gives you're never going to question me. You're never going to question my integrity.
Tell me, how do you bridge though? Here's one of the big challenges. Then I just came from a big event where, I spoke and it was a bunch of networkers and there were people talking about building the brand, which I think is powerful as an individual leader for your personal recruiting. But from a duplication standpoint, obviously there are struggles there, right? a lot of people, they don't have your personality. You're a good looking guy. You're charismatic. You got this podcast. You do all these different things. And there is a danger in the average person going, well, I cannot do what Dominick. So how do you bridge that? How do you help your team understand that that's okay?
That is the hardest thing in the planet. It was one of the biggest objections that the people above me in my last company had, which was, I'm not duplicatable. I said, what do you mean? Well, you're in a suit, you give presentations on Zoom, and it doesn't look like you're in your car, the way you talk, this and that. And I started to have massive self-doubt. I've been in the industry for 10 years. I want to start recruiting. I'm very good at you're not going to find anybody better at the pitch and the close or objection handling than I am. Crap, does this mean I'm not going to be successful? Ironically enough, as a friend of mine, there's a woman, Jessie Lee Ward, who's in this industry. She's probably one of the #1 network marketers in the world. And her and I, we developed a friendship. And everything I looked at was, I got pissed that this girl, female of all people, right? Because I'm a male and I'm sexist, right? This woman who is 14, 15 years younger than me is doing what my mind says, which is stop apologizing for who you are, be exactly who you are. And I have to create the gravity of a black hole to draw people in. Where you duplicate that is, I tell people who are on my team to be as absolutely ruthlessly authentic as possible. So that means if you suck at this industry, you go online and say, I want to talk about network marketing today. I am horrible at this. If you stutter, stutter. If you're embarrassed, you're embarrassed. The more you admit, it takes the fire out of everything. And I've gotten that from examples, like my very first night on patrol as a police officer, day one out of the academy. We had a big fight in progress. It was hot outside. Put a bunch of people in handcuffs. And the next thing I remember, I'm sitting on the ground and I've got a paramedic over me and he's taking off my vest and my gun belt. And I've got all these cops around me. What the heck? Well, you passed out. I what? You passed out. What do you mean I passed out? I came from the nightclub industry. I've been in fights. I was a collegiate and high school wrestler. But what is it? What are you talking about? They said that it was an adrenaline dump. It was all this stuff. I was overheated. Well, I knew the next day when I went into roll call, brand new department. I don't know any guys. There's going to be 15 guys all getting ready to make fun of me. So I walked into the roll call room and I went, did you guys hear about that pussy who passed out last night? I addressed the elephant in the room, instant laughter, was never brought up again. So I saw immediately a power in acknowledging
vulnerability.
100%. And that kept me free from attacks when I ran for office. It kept me free from everything else. And it keeps me unbelievably, maybe not even relatable, but it keeps me authentic and trustworthy in any business I do.
No, I mean, I love the authenticity. I mean, we invented a concept called authentic sharing technology because you got to cut through the noise, and there's nothing that does that like authenticity. The problem still exists, though, for the average Joe coming in the industry, where I was, right? I built an organization, made blah, 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 did all the big stuff. But the reality was I needed a system, and I started when there was a VHS tape, a fax, a phone, and a meeting. Like, it's so simple. And somebody said, well, what order do you do things in? Who cares? Hand them a tape, invite them to a meeting. Today, you go, oh, I got all these tools, all these digital tools. Like, where do I start? I can't start with, and shoot, even being authentic for somebody who's not. That is a tough place to start. And we're finding that you go to these organizations and you say, okay, there's 10,000 people in the organization. Find me 25 people that all do the exact same thing to get somebody started. And it's hard to find today, which was paramount back then. Everybody did the same thing. You had one VHS tape, not two. There was one, a cassette tape, a fax, a phone, and a meeting. Like, how do we bridge? Like, what do you do today with that brand new person? Yes, we can talk to them about being authentic, but they can't launch their podcast. They don't have a following on social. They hate Facebook. Do you just say, well, you're not my crowd? Or how do we help that person that is hungry? They are teachable. How do they get started?
We have to undo the mistakes of the past, right? The biggest problem with duplicatability is what did it do? It created a 97% failure rate and a bunch of people who weren't trained properly, who now say, oh, the industry's a scam. It's a scam.
Well, do you think that's going to change? It's true in real
100%.
estate, insurance. It's true in every industry that exists. The 97% rate is true in every other vertical in the world. And marriages are approaching it. I mean, it's just
100%. It's because people have zero work ethic and their expectation, right? You get involved in a marriage, all of a sudden it's going to arbitrarily just work out. My system is backwards, right? When I first got started, it was I was so frustrated because the company I'm with the first company I started with, and I left for a while, came back to it. And this is where my career is going to wind up excelling and ending. I was so good at selling the product because the product sold itself. And then I had other people who were authentic and it was great, but I couldn't build the business. And it was the same thing. It was pass around this flyer. Let's watch this tape, get the living room. And I couldn't be me. Now, every single millionaire I ever talked in the industry always said the same thing. I would say, how did you build? I just talked to 3 people a day. How did you build? I just talked to 3 people a day. What time of day did you call them? Did you email them? Did you text? Did you stop them in the grocery store? Sound like a psychopath? How did you relate to these people? So that was the biggest hurdle I had. I followed the traditional network marketing model for years until I realized I'm the greatest salesperson in the world because my job was to talk you into handcuffs and think it was a great idea giving up your freedom without any resistance. And if I wasn't good at that, then there's no way I was going to be good at influencing people in network marketing. So the biggest thing we have to come back to is we have to teach people. This business, and I fought against it for years. It's not personal development. Oh my God, they sell that crap all over the place. You know, I come from an Italian household. I'm the oldest of 3. And my parents from day one, it was independence. So I never understood how you would see these mass people at these network marketing events.
Yeah.
You'd have people, you'd have the people with the microphone telling a crowd of people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, I believe in you until you believe in yourself. And I would go, are you kidding me? So the number one thing that we have to do to start to change a pattern is to recognize there's a predatory behavior in network marketing. You have to recognize that. It preys on the weak-minded who think that they have that set it and forget it aspect of all I'm going to do is talk to 2 people and I'm going to get
which in all fairness is true of every large organization with an agenda in the world.
It's a numbers game.
But I mean that predatory, once the organization becomes overly large and they have an agenda, they tend to all that other stuff, you know, but how do you counter it, right? How do you just continue to be authentic and be on purpose?
Have to. My view is I want to go the opposite route of the original upline I had, which was they came in, all right, just get people on the phone with me. So my role was to stay ignorant. Let me put it this way. Most people in anything, I don't care who says what, there is no, I'm not a fan of humility. Humility is false, right? You have a lot of people, especially in the network marketing industry, who claim, I want you to be better than I do and this and that. But we have so much guru worship that they never pour into their people because they want that high of being on the stage with the microphone. Everybody does that. I got blessed where, I've been in documentaries, I got podcasts, I've been in the news, all this. I don't need that crap. I want the money. I want the success and the money that comes from making others successful. So I looked at it as, what was I missing? I was missing passion, where if I wound up recruiting you, hey, Patrick, you got to get on the phone with so-and-so, and so-and-so, maybe they didn't answer that day because they got 10 other people vying for their time. Or by the time they got to me, they were at a level 3 instead of a level 10. I needed to solve that problem. So I needed to break the mold of network marketing to be independent, where I don't do third-party calls. I don't do edification. I don't, hey, Patrick, let's get you on. I need to be taken seriously because you're going to be doing the business with me. So the number one thing I had to look at, which I tell everybody, is if you're going to get in this industry, the first duplicatable thing is you have to know what this industry is. Know your numbers, know the business, know how it works.
Right.
The second thing we have to do is we go reverse. I don't tell my partners or my people, all right, just get people on the phone with me. This is business. I work for them. It is 100%. I will set the table with everything possible. I can't force you to sit down and eat, but the food is there when you're hungry. But I'm going to be a good old Italian father and ask you every 10 minutes, hey, are you hungry yet? You hungry yet? Yeah, the food's there. You hungry yet? So the change that I think needs to happen is The number one thing we have to do is in network marketing, we only have 4 things we do, right? We contact, we invite, we show a plan, we follow up. That invitation is the most important skill set anybody is ever going to learn, because you have every methodology from Ray Higdon, who is a great guy. I've done a podcast with him. I think he's an amazing guy. You have to change out that mentality, the go for no, right? And change the psychology. I go for yes. Everybody's going to be a yes, but that's my mentality. But you have to fuel that by educating yourself, being seen as the lead, as an expert in the field, which comes from knowing what the field is. And we all talk about believing in ourselves. You can't believe in yourself until you're educated, and then putting people first, right? But that's also a different, and I know I'm all over the place because I'm so passionate about this damn industry that needs to be changed. So many people get into the business and they say 2 great lies. Number one, I'm not in this for the money. If you're not in this for money, get out. Got to go. Money's the energy, and money's you're going to change people's lives. Or the other one is, I just want to change people's lives with this great product we have. Well, that's not up to you. Right. You might be 500 pounds overweight, and I might, hey, I've got the best diet plan in the world for you. And you're like, I'm happy being 500 pounds overweight. So what we do is you have to find other people's needs and serve other people. So that's where I come back to. The fulfillment for me is what I was missing with law enforcement is serving. I just love to friggin' serve based on my ability. So I have a great ability to pitch and close and present and objection handle and invite. So I believe in working backwards. In when I recruit somebody, I will work for you to the nth degree.
So let me back up on that a second. Like, I was taught 3-way calls not because my sponsor did them for me that long, but after we did 10 or 15, I learned the business. I got to hear him. He wasn't doing the 3-way to do it for me. He was doing it to teach me. How are you, if you don't do 3-ways, how do you replace that ability to teach the person? What do you do fundamentally? Like, what's the how-to?
I'll clarify that. I do 3-way calls for my people. They're insistent. I actually get irritated if they don't. Personally, I stopped. My recruiting went through the roof when I didn't have to do a 3-way call.
Oh, of course. Yeah, because you learned it. You didn't need to do it personally. Okay, all right. So I
learned what was
wrong.
I
will counter one other thing. You said it's about the money. Well, that's the beauty of culture. Like, different teams have different drivers. And some of them all swear they're in solar, and their reason for living is to create a world that's greener. God bless you, right? That's your thing. And you create a bunch of people that do that same thing and believe that same thing. That's okay, right? I mean, and yours is, and our organizations tend to resemble us a little bit. I bet politically, whatever you believe, I can guess, but politically, I bet your organization has a little bit of mirroring matching, which is a healthy thing.
I don't have an answer for that, to be honest, but I've just determined, like,
I think it's healthy, though. I think it's the nature of it, man.
I teach 3 C's, right? One of the model that for traditional network marketing, which didn't work for me, was you sell the product and then you try to get somebody to become a business owner, right? Didn't work for me. I went the Robert Kiyosaki model, which is you sell someone the business and teach them to become their own customer. It made more sense to me that way. Easier for them to pitch and close. But I looked at when people still, they see what I'm able to do, and I try to recruit all the time. I recruited. So I still entertain people. I let them do Zoom calls and pitch me. And because I'm always sharpening up on my skill set, and I always want to learn if I'm, what can I improve on? And everybody so far still does the same thing. They lead with product. How's it going to change my life? X, Y, and Z. When I talk to my team, they have to discover one of the 3 C's. It's either cash flow, culture, or commerce. One of these 3 things you're going to fall in love with. All synergistically going to work together. If the product is what you love, great. You have a phenomenal product that you back up and reinforce by a culture that we're all involved in, and how we make our money and cash flow. And they're all synergistic. When I went the money route, because money can help the culture.
Is that commerce? Is that the third one? So cash flow, culture, and what?
Commerce.
Those
3, you're just consistently offering value, and it's an easier objection to.
How's cash flow different than commerce in your 3?
Product. I look at it as the product, right? The commerce is just the product. It's our vehicle for how we wind up moving it. So if you say, "Hey, Dominic, I heard your pitch. I just don't really need this product." Years ago, I had a hang up on that, going, crap, I didn't know how to handle objection. And it's so the analogy I give everybody, because they tell me whenever I lead with product, it's always, well, I'm with this company, the product is better, this and that. And that's fantastic. And I ask all the time, do you eat McDonald's? No, I would never eat McDonald's. That's grade D meat. It's probably carcinogen based. Okay. Would you own a franchise? No, I don't believe in it. Okay. So you wouldn't own the most successful franchise in the history of all capitalism that also creates a culture that gives back to their community, and it winds up employing other people who may eat the product and believe in it. So you may not like the product, but you're showing your entrepreneurial mindset barometer is off because you won't even leverage the biggest cash cow in the world and then employ other people. So it's anytime somebody has one objection, we have the other two to back up to show, hey, you may not be crazy about how we make our money because you're not money driven, but this is our product. This is our culture. You may be extremely introverted and you don't know how to teach people. Great. You don't know how to talk to people, but we'll take care of that for you. Let's talk about how we make money, how we make product. So we incorporate 3 different areas of value to present to help somebody's decision-making process easier.
Talk to me about the ratio. You mentioned it a couple times, that numbers game. And that is something, it seems like, that's close, near and dear to you, is like, that's the one thing people can control, the lead measure. How many people are you going to talk to daily, weekly, that a lot of people are afraid of? What do you do about that? How do you coach it?
You ever see, what is the John Wayne film where he's standing with the kid on the shore and it's I don't know how to swim. So he picks him right up and he throws him in. If I have value to someone and they want to work with me, which is usually the case, I had to accept early on that people are getting involved in the business, especially if they're going to do the business because they want association with me. It's horrible to say. The second you are, well, like, I just don't know if I can. Okay, let me know when you can. Our business is done here. The biggest problem the network marketing has is they make it personal, right? Hey, Patrick, get involved in this. You and I are going to make $1 million. Come on, we're friends together. 6 months we'll be rich. And then you leverage that friendship, right? Hey, Dominic, the kids were a pain in the ass today, and my wife has me mowing the lawn, all this kind of stuff. I can't tell you because I leveraged our friendship to get you in the business. Patrick, I thought you wanted to be a millionaire with me. What's going on? Now I have to be more apathetic and understanding for your needs. I am so cut and dry off the bat. My job is calling, right? This is a profession for me. So I cold call as much as possible. I'm not a fan of those funnel filling services. I want to get back to old school business where we build relationships. Yep. But I'll tell you flat out, Patrick, I'm not your friend. I don't care about your wife. I don't care about your kids. I don't care about, if you got a hangnail that day. You put your trust in me to make money for you. You have to use me. I work for you. So if you have excuses, that's great, but I just don't want to hear them. The day you get your 102-foot Benetti yacht and we're fishing the Florida Keys off of it, then we'll relax. But for right now, we are not friends.
And what system, I was introduced to a tracking sheet 2 decades ago. Some people take 10 pennies, you move the pocket, the whole thing. Like what format or structure, or what are you doing to help them hold themselves accountable, or for you to help them stay accountable?
That is a never ending project. It's never ending. And there's no form. I'm 48 years old in a couple of months, right? So I come from a time where when you went to wrestling practice, if the coach did something, you didn't debate it. It's right. Okay, I got to do this 1,000 times. I went to FTO, Field Training Officer School, in 2015 for a cop, right? Because I was going to train other cops. And it was horrible. It was 40 of us all squeezed in a room. And the lead instructor said, the first thing he opened up with, congratulations, you're all going to be training the future generations of cops, blah, blah, blah. The phrase, because I said so, is immediately removed from your vocabulary. We went, what? Oh, yeah. They got us so down to the point where if you got in a gunfight and your trainee was asking you, well, why do you want me to get behind the engine block for cover? You can't say, because I effing said so, because they're going to file a complaint against you for hostile work environment. So the problem now becomes in network marketing. If I say, listen, you have to have, you set your goal down and be as unrealistic as possible. If you see that so-and-so is making $500,000 a month and you want that, then you have to say that. Now we have to put a formula behind that. Well, a formula says, if, ands, or buts, have to have 10 conversations a day. 10 conversations a day. You figure 30 to 40 minutes per conversation. You're going to need to contact 100 people per day. That's going to probably take you a good 3 hours to do. So blanket six, you do have the 6 hours a day to do this? No, I don't. So scratch that off your list. You have to start there, define the why, define the what. And then once you set that standard, set that model, there's no deviating off of it. Where I go back to is I immediately remove myself from the equation if I get one excuse. And I used to sit there and kind of drag you across the mud.
Right.
Patrick, you said you wanted to make 10 grand a day, but why are you doing this? Now I go, Patrick, great. I appreciate that. You have my number. There's 329 million people in the United States alone. I don't need you. I will find someone else who I'll work.
How do you know if they're doing the activity? Because people will tell you there's a shallow brook runs the loudest, right? They talk a really good game. I found it very difficult in my years. Over time, you could always do it. But in the beginning, some people talk such a good game, Dominick, that you're like, okay, this guy's doing it. How many people are you talking to, Dominick? Oh, you wouldn't believe it. I mean, so many freaking people. I'm just not getting the result. And then I dive in with them when it turns out the numbers weren't there. So what's your quantifier with where you invest your time?
My partner, she's my upline. I've known her for 10 years. She has a great saying: "Watch their feet, not their mouths." And it's rare, right? We know that out of 100 people who come in the business, 80% disappear. They don't even return your calls anymore. Out of those 20 that are left over, 12 of them are going to do something here and there. And then you're going to have 8. And out of those 8, 2 are actually going to do something. So I think it's the recruiter, the upline, the people who are in the leadership position who see this. It's our job to constantly be going through those people. I believe in pressuring. I believe in, I tell my people when they get involved with me, I love what you do online, this and that. We have that conversation. Great. Dominick Izzo you see online, that is me, but you chose to do business with me. So now you're going to get the different version of me. And, I love hearing your voice talking to you. You're going to get sick of it. It's every single day with people I see from even in the most minute area, right? If I have a group chat for all my brand partners, I look for who acknowledges. Good morning, everybody. Let me know what you need today. I look for people who say good morning in return. I look for the people who haven't even read my text yet. So when I see what you're even willing to do on a base level, then it's, what do you need from me today? And I'll continue to ask every day, what do you need from me today? Until you just stop responding. Then I go on to the next. So I think that's our job. Our job is not to find out what they're doing to keep themselves accountable. But if we're truly serious about this business, and for me, I want to weed out all the shysters. I'm so tired of
You're keeping it as simple as, what do you need from me today? And you start to find out if they're thinking like, obviously, I need your help with a call, or I need you to talk to this person, or I'm stuck with this issue. But they're telling you, and I want to talk about the Patriots is not an answer.
No, it's not. I had a call with a partner of mine today, and she hasn't seen the results she wants, and it's been months. And I have to remind them that, it took 8 years for this business to click to me. I operated on faith. I left it for a little bit, came back to it, and it wasn't until I sat there and I really took the industry seriously. And then I had to burn every bridge. And I looked at this as there was no, I needed to be exactly, I adopted the moniker of the Bull of MLM, right?
Yeah.
Tillman Ferlita content. And he said, be the bull at anything you do. And I went, I'm tired of apologizing for wanting to be the best at something. So I'm the bull of this industry. When it was my delivery to these people, I can't get people on the phone with me. I can't do this, can't do that. It's all right. What you have to stop being nice. I think the number one thing that the delusion, right? The diluting of this space with social media is people think that niceness, they've gotten niceness into business. And I think that's where we have to start all over. People ask, Patrick, can I get you on the phone? Instead of saying, Patrick, I need you on the phone today. Patrick, give me your schedule today. We have learned to stop telling people and giving direction.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Stop acting people on that. So going back to it in a big circular way is, I think that the upline has to work for the downline, and you pressure the shit out of them until they either become a diamond or they break.
Well, I like your mix of tough and vulnerable, right? It's a dichotomy, the yin and the yang, and that's attractive, right? Just being tough gets denoted as being a jerk, if you don't mix it with the vulnerable side, the compassion, the understanding. But that doesn't mean you can't be tough. And that seems to be lost on a lot of people today. So good job on that front. Listen, let's if somebody wants to reach out to you, find out more about what Dominick Izzo is doing, how do they get in touch with you, Dominick?
I have a personal cell, 708-982-0974, 708-982-0974. Specifically, if they want to talk about business, I am the Bull of MLM. I have a podcast and a YouTube channel. Dominick Izzo all over on social media. You can see everything I've done from martial arts to a nightly live show that we do on politics, from everything else that's trending. But just type in my name, Dominick Izzo, and you'll find me all over the place on social media.
Well, awesome, my friend. It's been great spending time with you today. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to Beyond the Network Marketing Dream with Patrick Shaw. For more insights on building a solid networking business, visit our website at rapidfunnel.com/MLM. If you loved our content, please share, like, and subscribe. We look forward to seeing you in the next episode.